Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 30 here in the Systematic Factory. I am doing a little work here before I head back to Dampina to work on the Oxalate Refinery, because currently, as was, we were not sustainable on our power system here, and I want to make some changes to that. So I just want to show you what I'm doing here to get our arbor tree farm up and running. And what we're doing is we're using the pips to plant them. And I also have pips in here with the trees because the pips are getting me more arbor seeds. So I leave one pip in with the trees once they're fully planted. But arbor trees you can plant with a maximum density if you plant them like this. So you end up with a branch in every possible spot around all of the trees. I did miss one right here. I'm not going to fix it though. It's fine. But to do it, you need to start working from the right to the left, and I will show you why. I did use the door trick where you make a mechanized airlock out of cobalt ore and surround it, and then deconstruct it to get tiles of cobalt ore to plant in. All the way down, I'm going to go down to this level, and I'm about halfway through in the process of doing this. So the way it works is we need to have arbor acorns here and a pip to plant it, and the pip will look at the space to determine whether or not it can plant it. And what it does is it goes from the spot that it's going to try to plant. It counts 5 blocks up, 1 2 3 4 5, and then 5 blocks to the right, 1 2 3 4 5, and 6 blocks to the left, and 6 blocks, it goes 6 blocks up, or 6 blocks down, 6 blocks to the left, 5 blocks right, and 5 blocks up. Sorry, got myself confused there for a second. But so basically what happens is, in this spot, the only plant that it can see, because 5 blocks up is this row, so there's nothing there. 6 blocks down is the row down here. This one will show up in it, but nothing over here. If we were to plant from this side, we would plant here, we'd plant here, we'd plant here. Then this block here would count and be able to see too many plants before it would plant. So if we start this way, we can plant these 3. Then once these 3 are done, we will remove this ladder so this one can get planted. And then we work our way to the side. And then that way we can get an arbor tree in every one of these spots. The ladders in between are there because if we look, we want to get branches on the outer edge of this 3x3, and so these ladders prevent these ones in the middle from growing. So this tree will have to grow its 4 branches around the outer edge, and once they grow all 4, like these have, you can see by looking at the harvest, there's spaces here. This one has grown 3 above the top. This one has grown 1 2 3 4 5. Then we can remove these ladders here. And then this tree will plant its last spaces in here, and we will get all of our spots filled. This one up here where I missed that, I could fix it by just breaking the branches here and all around by putting ladders in their places, and then, or digging them out, and then doing them again in the same order, but I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe later if I feel like coming back for it. But so now that those ladders are gone, we can let it grow. You can see we've already gotten some of them filled in with branches that quickly. When you look at the harvest screen, there they are. They're all done. If we do down here, this first row is also the same way. We have all the branches on the outside, so we're going to remove these. And then it will fill those in. And then I usually just wait until we have the whole thing done. I could remove these 2 and let it go, but there's no need. So the problem is that we need to get more arbor acorns, and the only way to do that is to have these grow branches and then have the pips dig through the trees to get more acorns. And so we'll just have to let them do that for a while, and then we can come back once they have gotten us enough acorns and we can finish the farm. I actually let things AFK overnight so that we could get enough arbor seeds, and now we have extra now that I've placed them all. We're still waiting to get some of these branches in place. Some of these are done. we can keep working on removing the ladders to finish filling them out. These last 2 rows still need to grow the outer branches. But we have a pip problem. They have exploded everywhere, and that's because I was just dropping them off up here with no controls whatsoever. So I've wrangled all of them up, and I have this set up. I put 1 critter drop off here with a maximum of 7, which is where we're going to have our pips. And then this one I just set up as a room to put a catch-all for everything else. So once there's 7 pips in here, everything will get moved in here, and we'll work on getting this set up the way that we want it. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to handle that. I'm probably going to do a similar system to how I handle the eggs in our main colony. And that is up here, where I have this room, where I have the incubators that can hatch out new... Well, was doing hatches, but we've removed the hatches because we don't need them anymore. And we didn't have food to feed them anyway. But basically, I have a chamber here where when there's critters in here, they get taken out. And the eggs get dropped off in here. And that way, if we have them, they just get knocked out, and we use the incubators to do it. I'm probably going to set up an exact copy of this room over on Hazardato as well. But for now, I just want to get all these excess ones dropped off in here so we can handle it. I ran these lines so they're dropping everything off in here. These 2 are pulling anything that is not eggs out and putting them up here. So eventually we'll move this to make it so that it is handled a little better. Let's see. I think I'm having an issue because I still had stuff on that line. Let's just empty this out quick. Okay. And now I can pull this off and this off. And so basically what will happen is all of these branches down here, well, they're just going to be tree farms. I'm going to be removing these stations so that I have... They're actually just going to be tree farms. I'm going to remove all of these stations so that we no longer keep pips in these, because I don't need any more of the seeds. And the trees will grow just fine without the pips in here. The pips were just in here to get more arbor acorns out of the trees for us. So we're removing all of these pips and moving them up there. We're probably going to be processing them pretty quickly once I get that set up. But for now, we now have a huge amount of arbor trees, and we're actually just going to leave them disable harvest, and they'll just drop wood as they go, because I don't want to waste duplicates on them. We currently have 84 tons of wood, and that's just going to keep going up. I need to do some more work to change up here to make things a little nicer so that we can process ethanol better, but this will give us enough power to power this base for quite some time. Did some cleaning up around the base here and added some other things. As you just may have seen, one of our pips evolved into meat there real quick. I just copied this basically from my main colony over here. This is my pretty standard design for handling the eggs. We have 4 incubators here that are unpowered, which is enough to keep us with eggs staying in there and hatching to fill this up. If we don't need a pip in here and they hatch, they get taken to here, and then they're in this room, they wander around, they get down here into the trap, and the door closes and it fills with water. Any extra eggs, when they hatch, stay in here. As soon as they hatch, this thing says there's more than 1 critter in here, or more than 0 critters in here. Close the door, and it fills with water, and they evolve into meat. So this pretty standard design. Works pretty well. I kind of squeezed it in here above the farm and raised it up. I decided while I was doing that, I would put in some base storage, because I didn't have any proper storage on the base. So everything that gets dropped off here into water. I have an automatic dispenser for any manually swept items to get put away. That's what our dupes are currently running around collecting stuff. These 2 sweepers are designed to reach everywhere in this room, I can put down one of these loaders and the sweeper can grab from here and load it up. So this one is for eggs. Any eggs that get put in here, they get moved into here and they get stored until they hatch. This one is for wood. It brings the wood up here, drops it down to here. This sweeper is placed specifically because it can reach the tile that it needs to keep wood stocked in all of these ethanol distillers. So we have 5 of them running now. I threw in another sweeper over here, kind of overkill, but just to get reach all the polluted dirt that comes out. So whenever we have polluted dirt that comes out of the ethanol distiller from the wood, it gets put in, it gets sent back into storage as well. This line here is coming from all the way down here in our water tank. That's where I used to just drop everything off when we swept it. So I just put down a temporary sweeper and a conveyor loader. It is slowly moving all of these items up into our main storage. So now we have a centralized base storage here. I also set up, so we have 5 liquid reservoirs in here that are filling up with ethanol. If we look, this one is steadily gaining just a little bit, which means that it's actually gaining ethanol at our current rate of consumption. Our base, if we look at our power lines there, we have potential load at almost 20 kilowatts, but we're currently not using that much. And we should be okay with this system handling the ethanol that we're producing. If we need to, we can add in more ethanol distillers to make more ethanol and more petroleum generators to generate more power. So that's all good. I had to do some interesting mechanics here with the tiles and putting down petroleum so that there was something for the heat to exchange with. Currently they're getting kind of warm, but they should be fine. They should be, oh actually some of these are made out of random materials because I was out of steel. I'll probably have to swap them out for steel at some point. I may also run up this coolant line to just pass through here and cool down some of this. I have plenty of cooling potential down here, so that wouldn't be a problem to cool that area off. Where's the heat here from? Oh, I still have some random radiant tiles for the polluted water that I used to use to keep the crops warm. We can close that up so that way the polluted water that goes in is not heating things up. It is heating up here. That means, oh, these are actually having body temperature problems, and that's why I'm backing up on polluted water again. I'll have to come up with a solution for that. We're actually heating up in our base too, so I probably will just throw in a steam turbine aqua tuner setup here to do cooling to regulate the temperature for the Thimbleweed and our base. I'll probably just copy this design exactly, move it over here, chuck it right in that space there. That way we have some space to keep our base nice and cool. But now everything here is sustainable again. We're going to be producing gold again shortly. And any gold that we have gets shipped over to the main colony through this option here. We have gold and any iron that's going over. We're receiving steel from the other colony. So we're sending iron ore, we're sending iron, we're sending gold, and we're getting back steel to use here. So I'm pretty much done building things. I do need more steel before I can put this in, so we'll wait to do that. Now that we're done with that, I want to start working on the oxalate refinery setup. And I have tons of water, but just because I think it'll be fun to do it and it'll be nice to use things up, I think I'm going to set up some tamers on this cool steam vents. There's one there. There's one down here, and then there's a regular steam vent here. I think I'm going to set up some cooling processes on those to just get water out. Now, I don't need it to be cool, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine all those lines together to send water directly up to an oxygen production facility here that I'm going to use to make the oxalate in the oxalate refinery. I'm still working on getting our vent tamer up and running, but But I ran into an issue that I needed to deal with first, and I just wanted to show you. I've already fixed it, but I wanted to show you how I fixed it. So what happened was the gases, the carbon dioxide and the natural gas in here started to back up. And the reason that they did that is because they were going into this loop, and these two containers for carbon dioxide completely filled up, and I didn't have a situation for handling when that happened. What I did in the short term is I set this filter to be carbon dioxide in this empty one, and now I'm going to pump this carbon dioxide back into our filter so that it can go to where it's supposed to go, and empty these back out, and I reset this filter to nothing. That way we don't have 2 tanks for carbon dioxide. But this carbon dioxide, I made an extra pipe that goes this way, and it goes to what is an overflow pipe now, so it vents out into space. So I can connect any of these if I get to the point where I have enough stored and I don't want the excess. Any carbon dioxide that goes into them, I will just, or any other gas, I can connect it up to this vent pipe here, and it'll go here, and if this is filled and this is filled and it continues on, it'll just vent into space. That way, the carbon dioxide that's building up here won't be an issue. So what happened was the carbon dioxide built up to the point where it filled this lower bedroom, and that's when I noticed, because I was getting a suffocation warning, because the duplicant that was in here was trying to go, they were constantly using their suit to go out to breathe, while it kept making the suit not have enough in it. Finally, it reached the point where they couldn't get into the suit because they had just constantly been swapping it, and that made it so that they were trapped in here with nowhere to breathe. So I did manage to fix it without it being any long-term problems, and now it's set up for the future, but it was kind of a pain. What I did do before that was I'm very low on steel, and while this isn't going to help me right now, I did get this volcano tamer set up. Problem is this still has 40 more cycles till it's active, but now I have this iron volcano that's going to produce an average of 300 grams per second to go along with the one here that's producing 250 grams per second. So we basically doubled our output of iron that we can use for steel. And this one's also dormant for another 40 cycles, so we won't have any more coming in. And so for a temporary solution, I dismantled our second rocket that I was playing around with, just doing experiments. And I'm using the steel that was there for building our tamers here. So I'm going to go back in here. We're going to get this set up for our water source, and I just made all that steel and then I didn't use it. So this system is pretty, I'm just going to use a pretty standard one that you can find anywhere, where there's going to be a pump and it's going to be connected to an automation with a hydro sensor, where the hydro sensor will tell us if there is a certain level of water in here and then pump it out. And then I'm going to set up some coolant that will cool down the water in here to about 90 degrees. I'm not going to try to cool it down super cool, because I'm just going to be using it in an electrolyzer setup anyway, but at least it'll keep it so that this system can keep producing water. The goal isn't to get cold water out of this. The goal is to make sure that the water that is in here, or the steam that comes in here, cools down enough quickly that it turns into water, so that there's never an overpressurization in here. That way we're not losing water. So I'm going to get this built up, and then I'm going to work on the other 2 vents that I have, so I have a water source, and we'll start working on building oxygen for our oxalite manufacturing system. This game constantly throws you loops, things that you get to do. I forgot about the fact that I needed to fix my thimble reed farm, and so I wasn't using up the polluted water, and so it backed up to shut off half my power. I've tacked on a wall here to prevent it from over flooding while I worked on it, and you can see now the polluted water is going down. Slow, but it's going down. Soon these will be back on. I just did what I said I was going to do before. I tucked in a refrigeration system here. So this is cooling down. Just a simple aqua tuner steam turbine setup. And it just is cooling itself down, and then it's also sending out a loop up here that cools this down. I also doubled the amount of thimbleweed plants I have, just so that it can burn through some of that polluted water pretty quick. I could have also taken some polluted water and dumped it off at the other base, but I thought it would be more fun to make this work, and I need it to be sustainable anyway. But you can see we're right on the edge of our body temp here because we're bringing in hot polluted water, but we're bringing in cool water to cool it down. So I need to check. This is coming in at 21 degrees. The thimble reeds themselves need to be between 22 and 37. So I think I want to turn this actually up like 2 degrees, just because I don't want to end up over chilling them. In the long run, it'll balance out, and I'll be able to see what temperature's at. But last thing I want to have these now go from 37 degrees down to 20 degrees and still not be able to grow. So we're getting it going. We have cooling here. I may actually put in. Let's just put some extra radiant piping in here to cool it off in the middle. It's not going to have a huge effect. Time is what you really need in order to get this to work. But it's working now. Most of these are growing, and like I said, if we look at our polluted water, it is going down. So the problem is solved. Once again, this will soon be down low enough that these can run again, and we can run off of 3 for a while. Won't be a problem. Everybody's happy. Nothing too bad. I do have some problems going on over here with some heating issues. But that's just because it's slowly everything is getting to the point where it's too hot, and I needed to replace things with steel again. So I'm slowly swapping them out when I get problems, and then they come in and they swap it out for a steel one. Oh, I think I did the wrong thing there. Yep, I wanted the gas pump. Change that thing. I'll have to change the thing behind it to steel eventually anyway, which is fine. So it's going to fix that. It's going to swap out the gas pump, put in a steel one, and we're good to go. And we'll keep everything up and running. And you can see that I'm having trouble because I'm hitting the insufficient oxygen generation because the system keeps shutting down. No problem. It's going to keep going. I did get one of these tamers finished. So basically all this does is it cools down enough to make it so that the water can get pumped out, and this stays under 5 kilogram, which means that we can still have steam pumping out. But are we having power issues over here too? I'll install flower flicker. This doesn't need to be so cold that we can take out cold water. We're just trying to do it to make it so it can keep this room empty. So when this is pumping out steam, it doesn't overpressurize. As long as it doesn't overpressurize, we're not losing any water. I just did some cobalt tiles that connect to a cool down area here, and this cools it down. This is actually getting pretty warm, but that's just because this is running constantly. It's so cool enough that it can take some heat out of here. And that's all that matters. This needs to stay under 95 degrees. If it stays under 95 degrees, then any steam that comes out will add to the water. This is cooling it down just enough that when the next bout of steam comes out, it's cool enough that we can handle it. And then this will cool all the way down to really ice cold while we're waiting for, in a dormancy period, and it will continue to run. I haven't had any trouble with it yet. I think it's going to work fine. I ran a pipe from here, and it goes up and around and then down into here, and I'm currently just dumping that water into our water storage because I need it to go somewhere. Eventually I'm going to run that directly into our electrolyzer setup because that's the point. Oop. I forgot to turn this off while I was over there doing the emergency stuff. Now I have petroleum to clean up. Great. That's going to be fun. Like I said, this game always throws loops at you. Usually it's because you're not paying attention to something or you make a mistake. I'm just setting up another one here. We're going to use the petroleum in here to fill up the cooling line. That's why I'm using that, but I need that to crack in here to get this and all cleaned out and build everything up. And then we'll put in another steam turbine and all that stuff here. We can go in here now because we have more than enough vacuum set up. In fact, I'm going to put in a tile there, even though that's going to push more petroleum down onto the bottom. I already have a mess to clean up. We might as well have a big mess. I want to mop that part. So I'm going to get in here. I'm going to analyze this cool steam vent, and I'm going to get the gas out, and we'll work on getting the second one set up, and that will give us more water. I may tackle this steam vent. I haven't decided yet. Steam vents are really more trouble than they're worth, and I really have enough water. I don't need it, but I'm going to at least get this one done and get the water supply I need for our new oxygen system, and then we'll work on the oxalate refinery. But I've been going for a little close to 30 minutes already today, and I've gotten a lot done in this episode, so we're going to wait and do the whole oxalate refinery in the next episode. So hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.